Good morning. Our opening panel discussion this morning is with members of the international transit community. So let me introduce them very, very quickly and let them get to their presentations. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to have a discussion. Andy Byford, who is to my right, your left, he's the CEO of the Toronto Transit Commission. Immediately adjacent to him is Catherine Chaudon. Catherine is CEO of the Paris Transit's RATP, American Development Company. Next to Catherine is Guido Spuch, if I hope I got that right, the pronunciation. He is the CEO of the Zurich Public Transportation Company. To my left is Mr. Masaki Ogata. He is the Vice Chairman of the East Japan Railway Company, also known for many of us in the business as JR East. Next to him as a presenter is Mr. Masayo Tomoyako. He is, in fact, Senior Managing Director and Executive Board Member of the Tokyo Metro System. So with that, I think it's more important not to listen to me anymore, but to listen to them. Andy, you're up.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, New Yorkers. It's a pleasure for me to be here on behalf of the Toronto Transit Commission. It's not often that you get called a genius. I'm more used to being called a veteran now, which I think is slightly less flattering. But let me just tell you very briefly, Toronto Transit Commission, just up north in Canada. It's the largest transit system in Canada, the third largest transit system in North America. We have 5 modes. We carry 1.8 million customers a day, around 540 million riders per annum. And I think the reason, Mr. Chairman, is why you asked us, and we appreciate being asked for our counsel, is because there's a lot of parallels between Toronto and New York, both in terms of the challenges and in terms of the nature of the operation that we have and the equipment that we used. So if I might go to the next slide. So this is what I want to talk about, and this was alluded to earlier on by Ronnie, that you have to have a coordinated plan. That plan has to pull together all of the relevant parts of the challenge. So this has certainly been the case in Toronto. We have put together a program that does precisely that. So to the next. So here we go. So the TTC was founded in 1921. It was, thank you, the subway, though, was built in 1954. And for a long time, the TTC was seen really as a beacon for North America. It was seen as a world-class system and very well designed. And that, I think, stands to this day, except very similar to what has happened here in New York. There were decades of underinvestment, decades of deferred maintenance, and decades of lack of political interest, really, in the TTC. And it breaks my heart to see that's a slow but inevitable decline because of those factors. And we similarly have faced surging ridership. In my time at the TTC, which is just over 5 years now, we've gone from 500 million rides to 540 million rides. So effectively, we're triple whammied between an aging infrastructure, a surging ridership, and very limited funding. So these are all close parallels with what's happening here. The signaling system dates back to 1954. It's safe, but it's increasingly unreliable. And the budget to put that right has until recently been extremely constrained. So that plus the fact that we do need to expand our system, we need to add more capacity, that's effectively what brought me to the TTC. I saw a golden opportunity to turn that system around. And building on the success and the good work of my predecessors, it seemed to me we needed to do 3 things. We needed to modernize the infrastructure, clearly. We needed to transform our processes, which were somewhat steam-driven, very bureaucratic. And above all, we needed to transform the culture by bringing in the right people in the right skill sets and the right jobs to truly pull together. And what that resulted in was this, which is a corporate plan that we have been executing between 2013 and 2017. And I said to my team at the time, if we pull together and we up our game and we prosecute this plan, we can and we will get the TTC back to being #1 in North America. So just moving on. So what have we actually been doing? Our corporate plan set out a bold vision, which was a transit system that makes Toronto proud. And it has a number of key elements. Number one, absolutely do not lose sight of state of good repair. Everyone wants to build shiny new extensions and cut ribbons, but you've got to stick to the knitting and you must stick to the day job, or that's what gets you into trouble. So we put a lot of effort into a state of good repair, not least in modernizing our fleet, and more on that in a second. We've also been upgrading our signaling, so we are moving to a fully integrated communications-based train control that will allow us to move more trains safely closer together, moving from what's called fixed block to moving block signaling. We've really put great emphasis into bringing the employees with us, and I'll say some more about that. And we have also made a great point of ensuring the public know what we're doing, because you must get the public on side, because there's no gain without pain. And what I said when I turned up 5 years ago, I just need two things. It's really simple, but it needs to be said here. I needed money, kind of obvious, but I just needed time. And Joe, you and Ronnie, you need time and space to do what needs to be done. So in terms of other specifics, things that you should definitely pay great attention to is, and I heard what the governor said about new signaling, keep it simple, use proven designs. There's lots of good systems out there. So certainly for our existing rolling stock, we impress on our suppliers. Don't go around inventing the wheels. Do not nickel and dime us by putting cheap parts onto a new train when you know very well that the equipment that you've used for decades is actually proven. And we are also moving to a proactive maintenance regime, fix before fail rather than fix after fail. So it's very much a back to basics approach. In terms of the fleet, I'm pleased to see that New York is considering, in fact actively pursuing, through gangway trains. We have them on our Line 1 in Toronto, which are what's called Toronto Rockets, Bombardier trains, that you can walk all the way through. You get something like 10% additional capacity just by not having individual cars. There's always a debate about fixed formation, friend or foe. The only downside is you can't easily break up the unit, but as long as the trains are reliable, and ours now are, they're on an Asian standard of reliability, then you will certainly benefit from having that additional space. But we also bought trains with a view to the signaling system. Don't look at things in isolation. We went out and bought trains that were ATC compatible. In other words, they're ready for the new signaling. And they feature a lot of good customer facilities on board as well. So you're trying to get all three of those elements right. In terms of signaling, I mentioned this earlier. One of the issues I had to face when I arrived at the TTC was we had a somewhat Byzantine set of contracts that were set up in order to re-signal our busiest line, Line 1. There were far too many contractors involved. There were far too many interfaces. I felt that this was basically, we were planning to fail. It was overly complex, and there were too many suppliers. So we have simplified our approach to the re-signaling, and this is what's called brownfield re-signaling. It's not easy. I'd love to have the luxury of shutting a line in order to do it. I don't have that luxury. I don't even, Mr. Chairman, have the luxury of parallel expresses and locals. So we have to do it in closures, and we have to do some of the work on night. But we simplified our process, and working with our supplier, Alstom, we will go live with phase 1 of ATC on a brownfield railway, on time, on budget, this fall. And the second phase of that will come when we open our new subway extension in December. So again, make sure that things are simplified, keep it nice and simple, but again, use proven products. We are buying a signaling system that we know works. Because as Ronnie said, it's a system. You have to get all things right. So you look at how the line side, the wayside network needs to be modernized, but you don't do that in isolation. We are in parallel further integrating our command center. We are upgrading our radio system so that all the pieces of this jigsaw are modernized. And while we're at it, we're taking the opportunity to install Wi-Fi throughout our system, and that is practically complete, and that will be a good customer benefit. In parallel, I mentioned that I'd come back to change management. You've got to bring the employees with you. The employees have a lot of good ideas. So we have deliberately reorganized the company. The company is built, and this plan is built around the customer. And everything our plan puts the customer effectively at the center of everything that we do. So we reorganized the company to be a continuous improvement model, and we have gone out deliberately to put the right people with the right skill sets in the right jobs. So that you do get that sweet spot of quality people being promoted from within, but where you need to, go out and target additional resource to come in to help you. And again, it's about getting the basics right, keep the employees on side. We have invested in a change management team so that we can make these big game changers work and make them embed. Because any management team has failed if when that team moves on, you slide back to where you were. It's all about sustainable embedded change. Another key point on my penultimate slide is that you have to manage public expectations. These things are not easy. So what we have been doing in Toronto is a big push to make sure that we keep our stakeholders informed about what we're doing and our customers informed about what we're doing. I write a piece in a weekly newspaper every week, plain English, to say what we're doing and why we've done it. And every week after a subway closure, of which there are many, we make sure the public see and we share with the public exactly what we achieved, literally how many miles of track that we've upgraded or how many pieces of equipment that we've put in. And we make sure that we excel at providing quality travel alternatives so that the bus shuttles run positively. So the main thing I have said to my customers is, I know you don't like shuttles. I know it's inconvenient, but it will be worth it. You've just got to bear with us. You cannot just click your fingers and expect it to change without pain. So my closing comment, Mr. Chairman, would be you're doing the right things. What you need is the right people in the right job with the right plan. It sounds like that you have got that. You need strong leadership. What we have delivered at Toronto, and the job isn't finished. I'm not saying it's yet finished, but with the time and the money. And it's interesting that the governor quoted an English expression, put your money where your mouth is. I'd agree with that. In Toronto, from a very difficult position 5 years ago, we are now achieving record customer satisfaction. We have 5 mega projects coming together at once. We delivered a 44% reduction, 21% reduction in delay minutes and incidents concurrently. And that challenge I set my organization 5 years ago, which is if we pull together, we can get the TTC back to being #1. Monday of this week, we were just announced as the APTA Outstanding Transit of the Year. If we can do it, Mr. Chairman, you can do it. You're doing the right things.
Thank you, Andy. I have this overwhelming desire to ask Andy a whole lot of questions, but I'm going to wait till the very end. Most importantly, Catherine from Paris.
Thank you very much for your wonderful introduction. So I'm here as a CEO for RATP Dev in North America. So I'm representing RATP Group. The group is made of RATP, the mother company, which operates 14 lines in Paris, 2 commuter rail systems, 4,500 buses in Paris, and also we are operating and maintaining different type of modes, bus, trains, light rails, and commuter and metros all over the world in 15 countries. So I'm going to focus on the Paris Metro, and I think that's an interesting experience we've had, and that I'm going to share with you on the signaling and the to enable automation in Paris. So these are. I'm going to focus on on the metro system in Paris. So we operate today in Paris 14 lines of metro. Which, as you see, we are very close to New York City Transit with 5.2 million ridership daily ridership. And we began operations, and we are the oldest continuous operation in the world because we began in 1900, just 4 years before you. So we get and it was in July, so we celebrate the 117 year of operations in Paris. Over 20 years ago, RATP saw the benefits of investing in new signaling technology. So everything started, in fact, with the line 14. So we have 14 lines. The most recent one was built 20 years ago, line 14. And why did we do that? So it was mainly, I mean, RATP is an innovative company. We've always been leading innovations, technical innovations, and we decided that automation would be an opportunity to improve and increase frequency and improve reliability of our systems. In fact, of course, as you have the same issues here in New York, the population is growing, and we have to face customer satisfaction and quality of the service that we provide. And we also wanted to lower operations and maintenance costs. So these are the main objectives that we leaded, but have in mind that, in fact, when we have a project, it's also other projects within a project. So you have an automated system done through CBTC and CCTV, but also it's about change management. And Andy, you talked about that. The people are in the core matters that we have to take care of. It was also, the third point was the platforms and the platform screen doors, because in order to have an automated system, you need to install doors to protect the tracks, and very, very useful for many other reasons. It's a big, very important benefit for everyone. And also the rolling stock issue, buying the right cars and also having the right signaling system. So the projects in Paris, we are today operating 2 automated lines. The oldest one was in 1998, line 14, and it was a greenfield project, and it was built driverless since the origin, with PSD, with platform screen doors, and a Siemens signaling technology. Nobody believed in that project. I mean, it was an experience. It was, and it has been a great success. Today, line 14 has 500,000 daily ridership, and it's one of the most successful line in terms of customer satisfaction. I think we reach almost the 98% satisfaction, and of course, on-time performance is great.
98% satisfaction?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a great experience, and we have today 20-year experience. So on the life cycle, we have today also a very interesting experience about this line 14, and line 14 will be extended for the Greater Paris project. I will talk to you about that few slides later. Line 1 is the oldest line in Paris. 1900, it was line 1. It goes from La Défense to Château de Vincennes, from west to east part of Paris, goes through the most beautiful places in Paris for all the tourists. It's more than 750,000 passengers a day. So line 1, the decision was made to modernize this line. And modernization is not a bad word. So for the people, in terms of change management, I know the employees always, and you talked about that, nobody wants changes because it's difficult. But these changes have made a lot. We've made a lot of improvement in our organization as well, following this automation. Line 1 in 2007, since 2011, we have transformed this line 1 into an automated line. And we are operating this line as a driverless line. And we are now starting to transform line 4, which goes from North Paris to south of Paris. And it's an ongoing automation, and I will talk to you into more details about automation. What are the technical challenges? The technical challenges that we face, we had 3 goals. The first one was to maintain service during construction. So I'm focusing on line 1 because it's a brownfield project. So brownfield, you have an old system and you want to retrofit and to transform it into a brand new system, which is, it is a big challenge, to be honest, without any service disruption. That's what, and we reached this goal. The second goal was also to ensure that nothing was done to interfere with the reliability of the wayside signaling during construction. So we kept the wayside signaling, and we introduced the new signaling system on the cars. And the third challenge was to make sure that the new signaling equipment was readily accessible for emergency maintenance, since the system is driverless. I will talk to you about that because we found a solution. So the solutions that we found is what we mixed operation of driverless and conventional trains. So I remember in 2011 and even before, we could see a driverless metro and a conventional train on the same line. And you could, you didn't choose, of course, but you could take both type of operations, or both types of cars. We also decided to install signaling equipment under train seats, so for quick access. I have to go faster. We had to close stations, but we also had a big challenge on passenger information, but we had to install the platform screen doors, and we had to close station. And also we tested the new cars outside the city in order to bring them ready to be operated. And of course, I didn't talk about that more into details, but we can after. It's a change management project. So the operational takeaways, 4 years construction. We only had a 9-time work window, so 3 hours and a half a day to work, because the Paris system closed at 1 a.m., opens at 5 a.m. So we had this small window to work. And in fact, we had the capacity, and now we have the capacity to improve the headways. It's 1 minute 45 seconds before automation, and it's now 1 minute 25 seconds headways. Greater Paris project, so maybe you don't see, but you can see a little Eiffel Tower on the, so the Greater Paris project, thanks to this great experience we had on line 14 and line 1, and that we are ongoing on line 4, the main lines in Paris in terms of ridership, and the politics and the governance of the region, the Paris region, has decided to build 4 new driverless lines, more than 100 miles of new tracks, 67 stations, and it's going to open, the first opening in 2020. And it's going to be an ongoing project until 2030. But the idea is to have the capacity to have driverless metros all around Paris, so we can connect suburbs, with other suburbs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. We're time constrained, as I'm being signaled over there. So Guido, if you could go through the presentation quickly. And I do want to come back, because I do want to open up a discussion and tell you about one of the things that I'm worried about, with all of the great things that everybody has been doing, I am absolutely worried about what I consider one of the biggest problems we have, and that is we're open 24/7, 365, and if you have no idea what it means to take something away from a New Yorker. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that pain and sacrifice.
Yes, I think we must change our slate.
Right.
The slide, it's Tokyo.
Oh, it's Tokyo.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Ogata. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your introduction. And Mr. Joe Rota.
Yep, thank
and,
you.
Actually, here's my very good friends. And I'm very happy you back to chairman.
Thank you.
And we have been cooperating very well with the MTA. So MTA is our friends, and I'm also happy to be here to make a presentation. Time is limited, so I'm moving very quickly. And actually, we are carrying 17 million passengers a day, 17 million people a day, and this is the world's largest number. Of course, including high-speed rail and regional trains, however, mainly in the urban cities like New York. So we are the company of high-speed rail, but also we are the company like Metro. And we maintain very excellent customer service despite increased ridership. So today, this year, we celebrate the 30 years anniversary of our since our privatization. We are privatized 1987, and since then, we have successfully increased our customers 70%. So that means today we are carrying 1.7 times as many as passengers than 30 years ago in terms of passengers kilometers. This time, passenger kilometers. So on the right-hand side, we increase, but also on the left-hand side, we decrease congestion rate. And in order to do that, firstly, our solution to accommodate greater ridership, of course, and the secondary, smart operational management. Thirdly, improved communications. To make it much more practical, so you can see on the right-hand side, top, frequency. So for example, 2 minutes between trains, but these trains are carrying 3,000 or 4,000 people on the one single train. So in this case, this kind of a very huge number of people is carried. We still keep 2 minutes headway. And of course, in the middle, you can see safety. Safety is always our top management, top priority in the management. And we have invested 35 billion US dollars since our privatization, namely 30 years. And also punctuality, you can see less than 1 minute delays, either for high-speed rail and also for conventional trains. And today people enjoy the Suica, our IC ticket. I can simply put this Apple Watch 2 to the gate. And processing time is 0.2 seconds, very short time, 0.2 seconds for process the ticketing. And nextly, I'd like to talk about our philosophy. I really believe, because I have been working for 43 years continuously in the railroad industry, and I believe that excellent interfacing of many components is very important. And you can see many components, beginning with the signaling system, communication, the top, and the rolling stock, any other technologies. But however, I'd like to emphasize that integrating multiple fields of technology to create a seamless rail ecosystem, it is very important, I believe. And the next one, also increase capacity by 36% to meet growing ridership. Since our privatization, we always try to just improve a signaling system. And on the left-hand side, you can see 14% additional, peak hour capacity. This has been very possible by improving the signaling system. And in the middle, you can see rail car design. We just adapted a rather wider rolling stock And this resulted in the 12% increase in the LiDAR per car customers in one car. And also, as for the fleet side, on the right-hand side, you can see a number of cars per train increased by 10%. So you can, multiply these three components. Then peak period congestion rate reduced by 41%, even though we could increase the number of customers. And the next one, also manage entire rolling stock life cycle, reduce cost, and improve quality. You can see the cycle. On the left top, beginning with the planning, and also to the right, concept design, manufacturing. We have two manufacturing factory inside our company, operation, maintenance, and research and development. So we can always circulate this cycle. So we have the total entire life cycle for rolling stock. And we can successfully feedback the experience of our operation and maintenance to the future design. Then annually, we introduce 400 to 500 new cars. Next one, signaling system with information communication technology, ICT, enhanced capacity and reliability as well. So we adapted autonomous decentralized system, so-called ADS. And one example is ATOS, ATOS in the urban metro greater urban transit system. And the ATOS system works very well to control the total train set, fleet of trains. And then middle, you can see wireless communication reduce volumes of equipment within a train control system. So today, we have already adopted as a, wireless, train control system. And we are going to soon introduce it to the urban cities. And it is called ATACS, ATACS, and it is corresponding to the ERTMS level 3. And on the right-hand side in the bottom, assurance technology enables renewal of our signaling system without service disruption. So we can have at the same time the existing signaling system and the next generation system. And the existing system always works while we construct a new system. We call it assurance technology. Also, solution provides broadband communications coverage on trains in stations. Shinkansen high-speed rail passengers can use their mobile in tunnels, even in the very long tunnels in the mountain. And also Narita Express connecting Narita Airport with the urban area. And today we increase free Wi-Fi in over 19 stations, and we increase more and more. Next one, leads innovation with its own substantial research and development center. So we, JR Group, 6 railway passenger company, born in 30 years ago, but we have one common research center. However, we are not satisfied with that, so we create our own research and development center. So today we have 2 R&D center. And these R&D focus safety, energy, information communication technology, ICT, and higher speed and capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Tomioka, who will be speaking to us and using an interpreter. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your kind introduction. First of all, I wish to express my gratitude for inviting me to this conference. Today, I'll give a presentation on how we have advanced the development of technologies through the process of product customization in collaboration with our suppliers to accomplish our mission of a safe, punctual, and environmentally green mass transit system with high frequency. Like in New York City, the operational environment for Tokyo Metro is challenging with many stations in short distance and many curves. Diverse needs arise in accomplishing our daily mission of a safe and punctual mass transit system with high frequency. For this reason, we go beyond just procuring products, but instead collaborate with suppliers to customize product to the specification that suit our line characteristics. In addition, besides trouble of train operation, early signs of failure are fully investigated for frequent upgrades. These upgrades to existing rolling stock get reflected right away on the ongoing product customization for next generation of cars. We developed equipment technologies with individual equipment suppliers, which are then delivered to car body suppliers. This enables car body suppliers to fully understand the specification of Tokyo in maintaining a good partnership. Product customized may raise initial cost, but it's negligible. With rolling stock for more than 40 years, considering product reliability and the lifetime cost, it pays off. Diagram of train operation is our product, and keeping safety and punctuality is our service. Next on cars. We developed a steering bogie with a supplier to improve carving's performance. Given a great amount and high frequency of steering, evaluation was hashed out over around 7 years of development. As another example, we spent 5 years on the development of efficient and energy-saving PMSM, or permanent magnetic synchronous motor. Time is limited. Let me skip some slides. Please read. Now on our platform solution. Installing platform doors on operation lines is somewhat difficult and inefficient. It requires a modification for doors of both car and platform. Refurbishing car is also necessary to introduce such facilitations as ATO, automatic train operation, to improve on stopping at proper positions. It is clear that platform doors bring enormous benefit to safety enhancement. Platform doors are an important element for organized platform management, together with deploying station staff and passenger good manners. We consider facility and non-mechanical measures are equally important to manage platforms. As I have explained, we have collaborated with suppliers in realize a safe, punctual, and environmental green mass transit system with high frequency by advancing the development of technologies through product customization. We will continuously explore and develop technology suited for the diverse needs in our pursuit of higher pinnacle. Although my presentation today was on technology as an engineer by background, daily operations and quick response to incidents are most critical for safe, punctual, and reliable railway operations. I wish Tokyo is an opportunity to say that we are most proud of consider ourselves to have the teamwork, skills, and overall the dedication that are crucial in accomplish our mission. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, finally, thank you, thank you. Guido, the time is not on our side here, and I also want to be able to ask you guys a few questions. Go right ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me here to New York to speak about Zurich. Zurich is a pulsating global city in the center of Europe. You may also have heard that in the Mercer study, together with Vienna, Zurich has voted the most livable city in the world for more than a decade now. But most of you might not know that Zurich is on a global level a relatively small city. It has around 500,000 inhabitants and 1 million together with the agglomeration. Yes, that's correct. In the city of merely 500,000 inhabitants, we transport more than 1 million passengers every weekday on our tram and bus network alone. The passengers transported on the suburban train network are not even included in this figure. So, although Zurich is quite small when it comes to public transport, it seems that we are pursuing a good strategy. What leads me to this conclusion? First, about 60% of all trips in Zurich are made by public transport and only 40% by car. Thirdly, more than 70% of Zurich inhabitants have a public transport travel card. We thus have an enormous basis of regular customers, and they are not just customers, but mostly highly satisfied customers. In the Zurich region, public transport is regularly voted the most popular of all public services by its users. Another figure to underline this is that more than half of the city's households don't even have a private car. Public transport is not only popular in Zurich, but also all over Switzerland. The Swiss are world champions in train travel. They cover about 2,300 kilometers each by rail per year. What are the reasons behind the success? To me, the following factors play an important role. Accessibility. There is a tram or a bus stop within 300 meters of almost every household in town. Comfort. We work hard to keep our vehicles clean and to provide a more modern fleet as well as attractive and well-maintained stops. Frequency. Most of our line run every 7 to 8 minutes all day long. And punctuality, very important. 90% of our trams and buses are on time, meaning less than 2 minutes late. Let me address some of the challenges we are facing. The city of Zurich has been growing for years and even more so in the suburbs. Over the last 25 years, the number of passengers in the Zurich suburban train network has almost tripled. Today, our suburban train network transports around 450,000 commuters to and for the city center. This is a high number compared to the city's population of 500,000. We thus even also seen a growing demand in inner city network. This is a nice effect since we like to have more customers, but we are also starting to reach our system's capacity limit. And we feel that we need for expensive and demanding infrastructure projects. So, in the remaining 2 minutes, I will try to tell you how we try to address these challenges and how we try to increase our performance. Most importantly, we talk about hardware. One of our main success factors is our long-term planning. We are planning ahead for the year 2040, and Andia already told it, you need to have time to make a new infrastructure. The planning is embedded in the city's development goals and has to go hand in hand with the transit-oriented city planning. The aim of the city is to increase public transport in a way that it can handle the whole transport growth in future. The city doesn't want any more cars in the city center. One outcome of this long-term planning are tram and bus line upgrades. They do not only result in a more and longer lines, but also in new and more direct connections. They also result in a further electrification of bus operations. Already today, more than 80% of our clients are already transported by electric trams or trolleybuses. And finally, they mean the renewal and extension of the background infrastructure such as workshops, depots, and the communication infrastructure. But hardware is not enough. We also need software. This starts with our own self-perception at VBZ. We have two slogans. The first one is, where we go, Zurich comes alive. The other one is, our customers are our fans. To make our customers to fans, we must accomplish different goals. The typical Zurich approach is that we want to have separate lines for public transport, for buses and trams. We want the consequent right of way at signals at intersections, and an integrated traffic management center. Without this approach, we would never have reached our very high levels of punctuality and reliability. So to us, public transport priority is a key element to more convenience. We need very easily understandable and convenient information, as well as booking and ticketing systems. By the way, Switzerland has been a pioneer in introducing an integrated ticket system. Like this, our customer does not have to care whether he's on a train, on a bus, or on a boat. The motto is one ticket for everything, for all over the country. Everybody speaks about sharing economy, but more important is sharing common values between customers, company, and its employees. We need to assure that our corporate values are well integrated into our corporate culture and that all employees have our corporate values in their DNA. If values such as customer orientation, punctuality, a sense of efficiency, and so on are part of your corporate culture, shared by all the employees, the company will almost run itself. If not, a company will never be successful. As another part of the underlying software, we read stable and sufficient funding. Regular and sufficient maintenance and investments are key factors to success. The problem is that you can cut down on maintenance for some years and you don't even see the consequences thereof. It only gets really expensive later on. But the bigger issue is that traffic would break down if you had to perform maintenance works on the whole network at once. Even regular maintenance on a busy network is highly challenging and can lead to delays. The return on investment in public transport is a livable and sustainable city. Last but not least, we need a strong and stable political commitment to public transport. Luckily, Zurich has received the necessary funding in the municipal, regional parliaments, the government, and in many public votes. On long-term planning and infrastructure projects would be futile without a motivated workforce, strong political commitment, and adequate financial backing. And our customers would definitively not be our fans if we would fail in these points. In short, public transport will only be able to cope with the future challenges if we first and foremost think, of course, of the customer, but then about priority, capacity, and convenience. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up in about 2 minutes, and then we're going to have a break and have some coffee, and then get into the Genius Challenge. But one of the things I'd like to ask real quickly, and if everybody could just, this is like a pop-off question more than anything else. One of the things that I've always been worried about is, the fact that we're open 24/7, 365. I know, Catherine, you mentioned that Paris Metro shuts down for 3.5 hours every night. Andy, if you could talk all the way around, how often do you close, and what are your regular hours?
Sure. So the TTC subway runs basically on a weekday between 6 a.m. until 1 a.m. So apart from regular maintenance in the window that we get, which is same as you in Paris, around about 3 hours, that is not sufficient to do the major upgrades that we're talking about. So every year, for the last couple of years, we've been taking around 35 closures, sometimes for a whole day, but quite often a 72-hour closure in a weekend. And again, that's not popular. I mean, you say New Yorkers are intolerant of such things. Torontonians aren't exactly, I'm not the flavor of the month with Torontonians either, but what you have to do is paint that picture. You're not going to be able to do this, and things won't get better unless you bite the bullet and give that possession over. So you have to find a way to buy yourselves more time. In one weekend closure, we can get the equivalent of 5 weeks worth of night work done. So that's the kind of thing I say to my customers. We do explainer videos on YouTube. We really make a point of painting a picture for this is what it could be like, but you've got to bear with us.
Catherine, you've already mentioned the 3.5 hours, so I appreciate.
So, well, just to for the line one, we never stopped the traffic. So it was only 13,500 nights of work in 4 years. But for example, for the commuter rail in Paris, 1.2 million passengers a day, we have to shut down the system to change the tracks during the August period. So
During the vacation, European vacation time, yeah.
The French vacations.
Yes, understood. Good.
Yes, it's the same in Zurich. We also, it's always the problem how to maintain your system. We also use weekends, or if for really big buildings, we use the summer holidays, because then we have much less customers on our network than on the other time of the year.
Understood. Mr. Ogata?
Yes, for the maintenance time, we have a very similar system to Paris, right? Of course, we need more, but around 3 hours in the midnight, after the final train finish and the morning train began. And this, for high-speed train, 6 hours. So just the last train is around 24 in the midnight, and the morning fast train is 6 in the morning. So 6 hours for high-speed train, but urban transit is 3 hours. We need more. But anyway.
We need more. Yes, sir.
朝の5時から12時半まで運行しています。
We operate from 5 a.m. To 30 minutes past midnight.
ですから皆さんと同じで、3時間ぐらいしかメンテナンス時間ありません
So we only have 3 hours of maintenance, as other operators have.
だけども架線ですとか軌道にはメンテナンスフリーのものをもともと入れてますので、列車は止めないでメンテナンスを十分しております。
But we have sufficient maintenance because we have for the catenary as well as for the trackage maintenance-free equipment pre-installed.
Thank you. Thank you. And later during the break, I want to hear about these 3 minutes after midnight. Why 3? Sorry. Thank you very, very much. We are, I believe there's going to be an announcement. We're going to have a break, have some coffee, and then we're all going to be back in the next 10 minutes or so. And then we're going into the actual Genius Challenge. Thank you.